What's up, Game Boys and Girls? Big T here, back with another video. Finally, I try to come up with these plans to do videos regularly, and it just doesn't seem to work out. But I will say that I'm going to be starting back on my Tea Talk podcast. They will be every Sunday night, starting at 7 there-ish. I'm not exactly sure the hour. It might be a little earlier. Could be a little later. So between 7 and 8, maybe somewhere around there. I'm going to be doing those regularly every Sunday. And I'm going to try to do at least one regular video per week on my current schedule. But 2 jobs right now. So hopefully in the future, within the next few months or so, I can get to doing more regularly because I'll drop one of the jobs at some point. So, but yeah, this video is, as the title suggests, about me in a way. It's just like, because I've been doing a lot of Steam Deck content recently, at least in my recent videos when I've been putting videos out, and I've been interacting with people, some of my subscribers and whatnot on that also follow me on Twitter and whatnot, and we've kind of been going back and forth about certain things. And I've been, like I said, I've been noticing a lot of Nintendo fans kind of getting upset about Steam Deck and the fact that it emulates and all this stuff. And I think I haven't really been fair about that. Oh my gosh, a person that actually takes responsibility for their actions and can be objective about themselves and talk about things. Yeah, I'm probably not fair because I'm in the throes of Steam Deck, as you guys know. I'm very happy with the Steam Deck, very excited about it. It's my new way, my preferred way to play games at this point. And that could always change, but right now, Steam Deck is where it's at for me. And I always knew I wanted one because I wanted to be able to play my Steam games more comfortably than having to go to my PC. Which once in a while would give me issues that I didn't feel like dealing with, such as the life of PC gaming. But I looked at the Steam Deck, I was like, oh great, so now I can get like that almost Nintendo Switch feel without the hassle of a console. Now obviously the Steam Deck has its own issues with Proton. Not all the games want to work or work correctly because the games have to go through Linux, which most games don't operate with Linux in mind. They're not programmed for it, so they got to go through the Proton layer, and there are some issues with that. But for the most part, it's a really good experience. Works really well, but there are some caveats to that. But I've noticed, and I just haven't noticed as much, and haven't looked at it as much because I've kind of focused on, this is the new hotness, and I see a lot of people coming up with stuff, misinformation, making up things to kind of discredit the Steam Deck and its capabilities and what it can do, and its market saturation and all that. But I haven't been fair as far as like pointing out that yes, there are a lot of Steam Deck users, or maybe not even Steam Deck users, just people who like PC gaming or whatnot, or people just hate Nintendo. Like there are people that just hate Nintendo. Yes, they exist. Yes, the Switch is a very popular console, but yeah, there are still a bunch of people that hate Nintendo, that basically have to deal with the success of the Switch, even though they don't really want to. Just kind of dismiss it, even though it's the market leader. As far as I don't mean as far as like who has the biggest piece of the pie. I just mean as far as like popularity right now, right? It's starting to wane a bit, and it probably should be after 6 years, almost 6 years on the market. We're in its 6th year right now. So there are, like I said, a bunch of Nintendo haters. I've listened to or watched videos, and I've seen guys and girls, and not so much girls. This is usually a guy problem. Let's be honest. Where they're just hate Nintendo. Like they have issues with some of Nintendo's practices and whatnot, which I also do as well. But they do it to the point of where they just love any kind of way that they can get around Nintendo and having to pay Nintendo for anything. And so, with the popularity of Steam Deck and its portable nature, they just look, oh, this can replace the Switch. This is something I can buy to where I don't have to deal with Nintendo hardware. And I'm I'm not in the middle of that. Like if there's new games coming out on a new console, go buy that console if you want to play those games. Don't be out here stealing games. My take on it is like if I own the game, I can emulate as much as I want to. If Nintendo or whoever doesn't have a way for me to buy the game legally, then I'll only if it's old. Like obviously we be talking about old games, and we're talking about games you can't find, right? So if it's a game that I can't find, they're not making money off of any kind of way, then I don't have a problem emulating that stuff either. But for the most part, if my goal is to buy the game if I can buy it. A lot of times I'll buy a game and not even play it on, the console I bought the game for. Like I currently, because of the Steam Deck, I buy a lot of games on Switch, the physical copy, don't open them, and then buy them digitally on Steam Deck. And that's cool for me as a collector because I can do my sealed thing when I want to. I can leave my sealed copy, and I can still enjoy the game and play the game without having to, a lot of times they're really cheap on Steam because the Steam has sales all the time and they're really good sales. So that's a really cool way for me to be a collector who doesn't have to break the seal. And I've always broken the seal before. I'm not a guy who will buy a game and not play it. I buy games to play. So Steam Deck has been a really good avenue for me to do that. And like I said, I love the Steam Deck. But there are people who just hate Nintendo and want to find a way around them, who want to just do crazy things in order to not buy Nintendo stuff. If you're out here pirating Switch games, you're an asshole. Now, if you're buying the game, and I've seen a lot of people actually do this, who don't even own a Switch, they'll go out, buy the game physically, maybe even give it away, and then emulate it on Steam Deck through Yuzu. So I'm cool with that because there's that purchase. But you can say, well, what about the hardware? They have to buy. They should have to buy a Switch as well, not just And some of these guys do that as well. I think most of the guys that I've seen have a Switch, have the console, have the game, and then they emulate it on Steam Deck because they like to have all their stuff consolidated in one place. That way, they can play their Steam. They can play their Steam games. They can play PlayStation first-party games. They can play Xbox games through Game Pass. They can play all that stuff. They can play everything on this one device, and that's one of the coolest things about the Steam Deck is that consolidation, where you can play all this stuff, and then you can play all the old stuff emulated beautifully on the Steam Deck. And it's not that emulation works better on Steam Deck or anything. It's just that, again, it's a convenience factor. I can take my entire retro library everywhere with me. That's a cool thing. That is a nice appeal. It's just no worse than the appeal of what Nintendo fans thought about when they saw the Switch. It's like, oh, cool. I can take my console games everywhere with me. That's it's a no-brainer. People want to be able to do that. That is a cool thing to do. So, I'm cool with that. So, but like I said, I have a problem because there are people out here just trying to rile up Nintendo fans. Don't let them do it. I know it's easy to take that bait sometimes, but try to rile you up, get you mad because look, I got all my games on Steam. Like I said, I love the deck so much that I have not just one, but I have two decks. I initially bought it because I wanted one to tinker with. I initially bought two. So when I got my first one, which is this one, this is a 256 model. I was like, all right, I want to do stuff to it, but what happens if I screw up, or something takes too long and I really want to do my gaming still? Let me get a second console when it becomes available and use that as my tinker console. This is that. So I bought this. This is a $400 one that only has 64 gigs internally, and then I modded it and I put a terabyte SSD in here. So it's even got more going on for it than my initial 256 model. And what I think I'm going to do with my 256 model once I'm done with the tinkering on this bad boy is I think I'm going to just make this a Windows device. I think I'm just going to load Windows on this one, and do my thing with Windows on this one, and then keep this as a Steam console, is Linux based console. So I think that's my goal. But yeah, I mean, the thing that it's been annoying me forever. It annoyed me even during the Wii era because the Wii came out. Nintendo had faltered for two console generations, kinda. N64 was a pretty good success, but it got blown out of the water by the PlayStation One, and then the GameCube was even less of a success. Better third party than N64, but it sold less, right? It sold like 10 million units less than the N64 sold. So Nintendo was going in the other direction. And so when the Wii came out and blew the doors off everything, it sold like crazy. A lot of the guys who were kind of dancing on Nintendo's grave had to deal with that. But they dealt with it by basically ignoring the Wii and its market share and its phenomenon. Oh, that's the grandma console. That's the kiddie console. So they started doing that. That kiddie console kind of started with the N64 kiddie console talk, but then the Wii kind of really blew it up because look at these grandmas and whatnot having fun on this supposed to be core gamer console. So it kind of started in that 2000s, mid 2000s era, where I felt like a lot of stuff was dismissing Nintendo. IGN, not IGN. IGN kind of did it, but on television wise, Nintendo used to get snared all the time by like G4. G4 used to just almost act like Nintendo didn't exist. It was about Xbox and PlayStation. And it was like, well, that's weird because Xbox barely did better than the GameCube. Why is it getting so much more attention? That always bothered me. But I can talk about that in another video. But fast forward to now, you listen to these podcasts from the PlayStation guys and the Xbox guys, and they rarely ever bring up Nintendo. And it's crazy to me. You're talking about a huge pillar in gaming, a leader in the industry with 114 million consoles out there right now, and these guys barely talk about them. When they do talk about them, it's so dismissive. It's like, oh well, Nintendo's off in their own corner doing their own thing. How can you be in a corner when you sold 114 million units? How are you off in the corner? That is very odd to me. The second highest selling home console of all time, only beaten by the DVD Station 2. So it's really strange. I just think it's weird. For me as a gamer, like I couldn't see just discounting a whole entire company that's a part of this industry. Just completely, like they're not even a thought. That's weird to me. Because as a Nintendo gamer, I play PlayStation games, I play Xbox games, and I couldn't understand. I just don't understand anybody who calls himself a gamer and can completely dismiss Nintendo as if they're not a part of the three pillars. Like that's weird to me. But they're the hardcore gamers, even though they dismiss a third of the gaming industry. It's weird. It's weird. It really turns me off when I'm listening to these podcasts, which I enjoy for the most part with PlayStation and the Xbox podcasts. I usually find ones that I enjoy, and it really turns me off when they get to the Nintendo talk segment. You know, they barely mention it, and it's so dismissive when they mention it, and it's always crying about the graphics and whatnot, and it's just like, we still on that? Like, are we still on that? That's just, it's strange, especially coming from Xbox guys who got walloped in the graphics talk during the Xbox One era, and they've never had the best hardware until now, and it barely shows. They have the best hardware on paper, but it barely shows. But it's just weird to me for those guys to do that. But this is about Steam Deck users, or just PC guys in general, who hate Nintendo so much that they will just pirate their games and try to annoy Nintendo fans. Don't let them do that. Don't let them bother you. But I just wanted to address this because I think I haven't. I've been kind of in my Steam Deck la la land, where I just haven't noticed it as much. I've noticed more of the Nintendo fans, and just stop doing that too. Nintendo fans, stop dismissing Steam Deck. Stop throwing out just crazy misinformation. No, not most people on Steam Deck just want to emulate and pirate games. That is false. That's 100% false, because I'm in the Steam Deck communities as well. We're really excited about playing AAA console games anywhere at really nice settings and visuals and frame rates, stuff that we couldn't get on Switch. So this idea that I'm going to buy a $500 device just to play old games, that's just nonsense. Even if it's just to pirate old games, that's nonsense. Nobody's doing that. Less than 1% of people are doing that. But the people who are hating Nintendo and making you mad, they're very loud. So it seems like, oh, everybody who has a Steam Deck is that guy. Not true. Not the case. Those people are usually the tiniest increment of the group, but they're also the loudest. That's just how society works. That's Twitter. So, yeah, that's it. That's it for this video. I just wanted to address that. I wanted to be fair. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you again for watching and listening, and I'll see you folks next time. Peace out.